Hello friends, it's Kristie Marcotte. In today's video, I'll be using Not Too Shabby's Life is Sweet paper pad and also their Lemon Gnomes PET tape. In a previous video, I used their Pink Blossom Easter PET tape, which is super cute, and it is still available. They also have 3 other PET tape designs, and you can save by purchasing the 5-pack bundle, or you can buy them individually. Here's a look at the brand new Life is Sweet paper collection. If you like lemons, you will love this collection. It's perfect for summertime cards. There are 12 different designs, 25 sheets, and these are double-sided. I'll lay out all the different patterns so you can see what's included. Lots of bright yellows, soft yellows, there's greens, whites, grays, a little bit of teal on this one paper. This collection works perfectly with their Lemon Gnomes PET tape. Not Too Shabby is always releasing new papers. Sometimes there are coordinating ephemera packs, enamel dots. Be sure to check out their website. I do have a link in the description box. And if you are shopping, use my code KRISTIE10 to save 10% off your order. I want to give a huge thank you to Not Too Shabby for the discount code so I can pass that savings on to you. Here's a look at the Lemon Gnomes PET tape. And this is basically washi tape, but it's made of plastic. The images and sentiments are pre-cut, so it's basically a clear sticker. I love the adorable gnome images. There are bees, sunflowers, and lemons. And since they are pre-cut, no fussy cutting required. The images are adorable, and I love the vibrant colors. I have 3 different card designs to share with you using the new paper and PET tape. I will be using some card sketches for inspiration. The first sketch is from Sugar Pea Designs. It's Sugar Sketch number 36. And if you are interested in any of the sketches I use in this video, I share all of that information on my coordinating blog post. The link is in the description box below, or you can simply head over to KristieMarcotte.com. For card design number 1, selected this fun striped paper with hearts, and inside those hearts there are lemon slices. It's super cute. I cut that piece to 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches. For the strip going across the card, this is a larger image of those sliced lemons. Now on the card sketch, I have that piece at 1 1/2 inches. I did cut it a little bit wider. So it's 4 inches by 1 3/4 of an inch. I'll layer it on some green cardstock, and I'm adding a scallop border at the top, following the design of the card sketch. And this scallop border is a die from Pretty Pink Posh. Now I'll layer the background on the same green cardstock, and that cardstock layer is an additional 1/8 of an inch. So 4 1/8 of an inch by 5 3/8 of an inch. And when adding my card front onto a card base, I left 1/8 inch of the white card base showing. On the left side of the card, I added a white stitch circle die cut, and this is larger than what's indicated on the card sketch. My circle is 2 3/4 of an inch. I needed it large enough to fit one of the gnome images. And the gnome I selected for this card is wearing a yellow, green, and white striped hat. There are lemons on the ground and bees flying all around. Sometimes when I'm using a card sketch for inspiration, I don't follow it exactly. And this card is an example of that. There's that small circle and the little heart, which indicates an embellishment. I'm not adding either of those. But I will put a sentiment on the right side. I've already stamped out For You, and this stamp is from Not Too Shabby's Mini Messages stamp set. This is a great set with a nice variety of sentiments you can use throughout the year. Before adhering the sentiment down, I did put a scrap piece of cardstock underneath it on the right side, and that way it stays at the same level. For a final finishing touch, I'm using a small scrap piece of the green cardstock. I'll cut a banner. First cut a fishtail on the bottom, then I'll cut the right side in slightly at an angle, flip it over and do the same thing on the other side. Then I'll put barely art glue on the back and adhere it in the upper right hand corner. For this first set of cards, I decided not to add any embellishments. It's always good to have cards on hand that you can mail without paying additional postage. So there is my finished card, and I did make 4 using this design. The first 2 cards have the same image and pattern paper, and for the other 2 cards I use different gnome images and pattern paper for the background and also the strip going across the card. For card design number 2, the card sketch is from MFT. This is sketch number 6. For the background of my card, I selected the green and white stripe paper with lots of lemon slices. I cut that piece to 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches. For the small rectangle in the background, using one of the lemon pattern papers with the yellow and white background, I'll layer it on some green cardstock. And since both of the pattern papers have a very busy design, I'll cut that cardstock layer a little bit larger. Most of the time I add an additional 1/8 of an inch, but for this layer it's an additional 1/4 of an inch. My background cardstock layer is also an additional 1/4 of an inch. So it's full A2 size, 4 1/4 inches by 5 1/2 inches. If you're using lots of busy designs, it's good to add in some solid cardstock or those wider cardstock layers. I selected this sweet little gnome riding a yellow scooter, and he's carrying a basket full of flowers and lemons. I'll remove it from the backing, add it on a stitch circle die cut. Now sometimes it can be tricky to remove this sticker from the backing. I found using the tip of a pair of tweezers getting underneath that first edge really helped. Before adhering the image down, I'll put a small scrap piece on the right side, just where the circle goes off the edge of the smaller rectangle pattern paper piece. For a sentiment, I've already stamped out another trip around the sun, stamped it on some light yellow cardstock. I'll cut a fishtail on the right side. Now before adhering it down, I'm adding lots of different cardstock pieces since it's sitting on top of several cardstock and pattern paper layers. I want it to stay nice and level. Don't want one side to dip down more than another. I'll add a piece on the left side where it goes off of the circle. And I'll also add a smaller piece on the very left side where it goes off of the lemon pattern paper panel. On the right side in the bottom corner, I'm adding 2 narrow pieces of cardstock. And on the bottom edge of the sentiment where it goes off of the circle, I'll add a narrow scrap piece of cardstock. I keep placing it on the card, running my finger across it, seeing if I need to add more layers or remove any layers. Once I'm happy with it, I'll put glue on the back and adhere it in place. And I'm trying to get the sentiment nice and straight on the card. It's a little tricky since the stripes on the background are not straight and also having that angled element with the lemon pattern paper. For embellishments, I'm using some Love from Lizzie peel-offs. This is the mini circle style in gold mirror. It's more of a yellowish gold, so I think it works really well with the pattern paper. So there is my finished card. Again, I made 4 using this design to feature the same gnome image and pattern paper. And for the other 2 cards, I switched both pattern papers and added a different gnome image. There are so many adorable gnome images. I wanted to feature as many as possible. For card design number 3, the card sketch is from Freshly Made Sketches. This is number 685. I thought it would be fun to use the same 2 pattern papers I used on the first card, but make a completely different card design. So for this card, I have the lemon slice pattern paper for the background, and that piece is 5¼ inches by 4 inches. I'm adding a couple of Love from Lizzie peel-offs on the back using the pinstripe style in gold mirror. Since I will be covering up most of the center, I was able to use some of the small scrap pieces of peel-offs. I'll wrap the ends around the back, layer this piece on some green cardstock, and that green cardstock layer is an additional 1/8 inch. Now I'll add more adhesive, put my card front onto a card base, leaving 1/8 inch of the white card base showing. I didn't leave quite enough space at the top edge of my card base. Luckily, I was able to lift it up, reposition it. Now I'll bring in the rest of the pieces for my card, and I have them in the small stack and sort tray from scrapbook.com. For the narrow strip on the left side, this is where I'm using the stripe paper with the hearts that have those lemon slices inside. I'll first layer it on the same green cardstock, adhere it on the left side of the card. The image I selected is the sweet little gnome in pink, and he's sitting next to a basket of lemons, and there are lemons around him on the floor, and he even has one on his hat surrounded by yellow flowers. I'll add the gnome image on some white cardstock. And if you don't like the white space on the right and left side, you could cut the image box a little bit smaller, but I'm okay with it. After layering the image panel on green cardstock, I'll adhere it on the card, but first I'll put a scrap piece of cardstock underneath on the right side, just in the area where it goes off of the stripe heart pattern paper piece. Then I'll put adhesive on the back and adhere it in place. For a sentiment, I'm using one of the PET tape sentiments that's included on the roll. I believe there are 3 sentiments. This one is "To My Sweet Friend," and it's in pink lettering. I'm adding it on some white cardstock so it stands out. If I put it on yellow or green cardstock, it would completely get lost. With this smaller piece, it did take me a little bit longer to grab the corner so I could remove it from the backing. So now I'll add it on the small piece of white cardstock, and I didn't get it straight at first. I put it a little angled with the right side going down. Luckily, I was able to remove it and reposition it. I think as long as you do it right away, you can reposition the stickers. But it might also depend on what type of cardstock you're using. I've repositioned the right side of the sentiment, and now I'll get the left side nice and straight. Next, I'll layer that on the same green cardstock, otherwise it really gets lost on the background. I'll put glue on the back and adhere the sentiment in the upper right-hand corner. So this time I am following the card sketch fairly closely. I recently came across this sketch from Freshly Made Sketches. I'm always excited when they have a brand new design. For embellishments, I'm using more Love from Lizzie peel-offs. This is the mini circle style in gold mirror. So it's the same color I use for the 2 narrow strips going across the card. I'll put 3 small circles underneath the sentiment on the right side and 2 medium circles in the lower right-hand corner. So there is my finished card, and again, I did make 4 using this design. The first 2 cards feature the lemon slice paper for the background, and the other 2 cards have a light teal background with lemons, and for that narrow strip, I have the lemon and green stripe paper. Instead of using one of the PET tape sentiments, I stamped "Thinking of You." Now here's another look at the 12 cards I made using Not Too Shabby's brand new Life is Sweet pattern paper, along with their adorable Lemon Gnomes PET tape. I love how the cards turned out, super cheerful, perfect for summertime. If you are interested in any of the products I used in this video, I do have links in the description box below. And if you are shopping at Not Too Shabby, don't forget to use my code Kristie10 to save 10%. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.